So this video is about how to find more book reviewers for your book. This is a common problem. A lot of people ask me for feedback on Amazon, on their Amazon page, and they don't have any reviews. So if you have less than 10 reviews, you can't really do any book marketing. You can't even give your book away for free because people won't trust it if they don't know who you are and they're not sure if the book quality is good enough for them to take a look. Also, reviewers will be hesitant to commit to reviewing a book. So if you email someone and says, would you like a free copy of the book? A lot of people won't respond or they won't engage, because once they've engaged and said, sure, send me a free copy, then they know the author is going to follow up with them and check back in and say, so did you finish that book review yet? And that puts them in an awkward position because maybe they didn't really enjoy the book or they can't honestly recommend it. So you're asking them to put their reputation on the line as well by reviewing your book. So you can't always assume, even if they get a free copy, that they will post a review or post an honest review. And a lot of people, they don't want to deal with conflict or drama. They don't need to do this for you. So to assume that like they will come back and say, this just wasn't for me. Probably they'll say, I don't have time to read this right now. I'm sorry, I changed my mind. That's the nice way that they would do it. But some people would just say, I can't honestly give it a good review. Would you still like me to give it like a 2-star or 3-star review? Anyway, it opens a can of worms. What I do with my books is I give out lots and lots of free copies. I'll build an email list of potential reviewers. I'll send out an email with, hey, I saw you reviewed similar books on Amazon. I think you might be interested in this. Here's a free copy if you want to download it. Some authors say they think it's presumptuous to send out a free book to potential reviewers without asking first if they can send a free book. However, I think it makes it easier for the reviewer because then they can open your email. If it looks interesting, they can click the link and download it without actually confirming or writing back to you or whatever. So there's a little less pressure on them. I also think you can follow up maybe once or twice, but I wouldn't do it more. So if you send out an email with a free book, a week or two later you could say, I don't want to be annoying, but I just want to make sure you got that free book. I'd love to know what you thought. Just something short and sweet to remind them, because even though it seems like you're being really annoying, in my example, I get a lot of emails asking me to review the book, but I'll usually just hear from people once, and I usually just ignore the emails because I get a lot of them. However, even though it's annoying, if I see someone pop up a few times, like 2 or 3 times, they're like, hey, just checking in, there's a greater chance that I will open an email and finally take a look and potentially give a review. So you don't want to be annoying and you don't want to give up too early. Sometimes taking action is better than taking no action. And what most authors do is take no action because they don't know who to contact for reviews. They don't know where to find book reviewers. They don't know how to send out ARC copies. And it's all very challenging. But generally, like, you can improve your chances if you find really good book reviewers, and you send them an email and you get their confirmation and you send them a book. Also, I'll point out, you don't want to be sending out a lot of print copies because that can be really expensive. So when I talk about ARC or advanced reader copies, I'm talking about ebooks. So you can set up something on BookFunnel or InstaFreebie or just a download page on your website where you have links to the books. I also don't worry about piracy or people stealing your ebook. That's not generally a concern for most authors. Obscurity is the main issue. If you can't get found, if nobody knows who you are, they can't find your book, that's the big problem most authors face. Piracy, ebook piracy, is really not a concern for most authors, unless you're already famous, unless you're already making a lot of money, in which case, when people are searching for your books, you may want to start being actively more active about preventing piracy or thinking about piracy, because it'll be losing money for you. But in the beginning, that's not something to worry about. Even really huge authors sometimes give out their books for free on piracy sites. Paulo Coelho, for example, does that because he knows the more free books he gives away, the more famous his books will get, the more people will buy and review his books. So it's not necessarily hurtful for sales. But I was saying, you can try to get like 10 or 20 reviewers and send out 10 or 20 ARC copies, and hopefully 10% of them will review, which means you get 1 or 2 reviews. I try to give out 500 to 1,000 ARC copies. I also increase the chances of reviewers reviewing my books by building a relationship. So there are 2 things. You can either send emails and free books out to completely cold traffic, people who have no idea who you are, but you know that they like that genre or that topic, or they're interested in that topic, or they've reviewed similar books, but that's cold traffic, so it's less likely they'll get used to you. I try to build a list of readers who like my genre, and then I warm them up and I try to build a relationship. I've heard other authors recently say they hate autoresponders or newsletters, because it's true most authors' newsletters and autoresponder series are not very good, which means I'll accidentally like sign up for a giveaway and I'll be subscribed to 20 different autoresponders, and I'll have to go through and unsubscribe to all of them because most of them are talking about themselves all the time, or their new releases or their new books. And I would prefer to follow them on Amazon or social media. I don't really want to get their emails for each individual author. But if you're doing things right and you focus on the readers and you focus on content that's interesting to them and you're not just talking about yourself, there are ways to get engagement and build a relationship. The reason I like a newsletter is because if you're just sending them one email or they've just bought one book, they may be lukewarm fans, but they don't have a personal connection to you. So a newsletter gives you a longer window of opportunity to build a relationship with fans. The more that they know and like and trust you, the more they recognize your face and your name, the more likely they're going to review your books. The more likely they'll download your free stuff, the more likely they'll kind of do you favors or pay attention to what you're saying. So if you're building a list and you're not engaging, I just think that's a wasted opportunity. I think you can use your email autoresponder to build a relationship so that you're not always just asking cold reviewers or begging strangers to take a chance on your book. The more you build a relationship with your readers and your fans, you can just send them an email and say, here's a free copy, please download and review it. It'll get easier. So definitely be focused on building your platform and relationship with your fans as well. But I'm going to talk about basically 3 ways to find your reviewers. So if you don't have an email list or fans already, or you don't know where to find reviewers, these are the 3 ways that you can use. The first one is to try to find reviewer information. So this was a popular technique until about a week ago, and that's something else I want to talk about because there are all these tools or services where, and this was something other people have talked about in the past, but you basically go on Amazon and you look for the reviewers of books that are similar to yours. So you should be doing research and know the top 10 or 20 books in your categories that are similar to yours, and you know that audience will probably like your audience, and you want to find books that have lots of reviews. Because those are popular books. So then you can go through and you can look at those reviewers and see if they have any contact information. In the past, a lot of them had emails or websites, so you can find a way to contact them, reach out, and send them a nice, polite email with a copy of your ARC or your book for review. But it's time consuming. It takes a long time. So there are services like BookRaiser that would do that for you. And there are probably 5 or so that are pretty decent. They'll do this service for you for a couple $100. They'll find a list of 100 or 500 potential reviewers that you can contact by email. But Amazon just changed its platform and they don't show that information anymore. And this is a new development. This is March 2018. So all of a sudden, as of right now, BookRaiser, for example, they're not taking on new clients because they don't like the service they're providing. That information just disappeared from Amazon, so they can't do it anymore. There are other tools like Book Review Targeter where you use a tool and it would automatically scrape the information from Amazon and put it into a file for you. That's the tool I've been using for the last year. I think it works really great. I've built up really big email lists of potential reviewers based on other best-selling books in my genre. As far as I know, Book Review Targeter is still open for business, and they're trying to find a workaround or a different way to keep their service running, although it's probably going to be a little challenging since Amazon deleted that information. But that's what has worked in the past. Now it might be a little bit harder, and by harder, what I mean is you can find that list of 10 or 20 books and you can Google them. So every book, for example, I'm putting out something that's a vampire dystopia. I think it's kind of similar to the 100th Queen, which is a really cool book I read recently. Has a couple thousand reviews. So I can go through on Amazon and look at those reviewers. A lot of them might still have a website or at least a blog name. Like maybe their name of the reviewer is Book Lovers Blog Reviews or something like that. And if I Google that and find their website, then I can send them an email or a contact. I could also hire a virtual assistant to do this. It's just more manual. It takes more time. So I could hire a virtual assistant and say, go through all these reviews, try to find a link to a blog, try to get their email, or just send them a contact information. You can hire a virtual assistant for a couple $100 a month that will do quite a bit of work for you, as long as you give them exactly a plan of what to do. You can also Google those books. Like I Googled The 100th Queen and book review, and I can see what shows up on Google. I may find like the first 5 pages of Google, and that tells you not only who's reviewing, but what reviewers show up well for Google. So those are more valuable reviewers. If they post a review of your book on their book review site and their book reviews are showing up for search results, that's better for you anyway. So you may want to, Google those 10 or 20 books that are similar to yours with book review, see what shows up, and contact all of those blogs directly. It doesn't have to be hundreds of blogs, but if you contact like the first 20 results, it might be booktubers, which are people who review on YouTube. Usually there will be some YouTube results on the first page of Google, but there are probably also going to be a lot of book review websites and blogs that you can reach out and contact. I don't actually think that's a lot of work to do that kind of thing. Might take you an hour, and you'll identify 20 blogs or websites that are ranking well for that specific other book. And if you've got 10 or 20 books, then you can check, book reviews for this book 10 different times for 10 different books. You might build a list of like 100 book review websites. And the nice thing about book review websites is you don't really want to be featured on a general book review site or some random author site. You want to be, there's a lot of sites that say like, we'll feature your book, but it's really just an author services company that allows you to promote your book on their site because they want to upsell you services, and their main traffic is just going to be a bunch of other authors. So you don't really want reviews or promotion from those sites. You want to be on genre-specific or subject-specific books or blogs or websites. So searching for those competition books and other blogs who have reviewed them, trying to find, like I said, if you have 10 different potential books and you Google for the people who have reviewed them and you make a list of 10 or 20 different blogs or websites that have reviewed those books, you can pretty quickly build a list of 100 very specific blogs that review books similar to your books and also show up in Google search results. So that's really, those would be like my high value target reviewers. That's who I would really try to make friends with and follow up with. The other really important thing to do, rather than just sending a cold email or a cold message on their contact page, what you would want to do is follow them on social media, follow them on Twitter or Facebook, like a few of their posts, comment on a few of their posts, go back to their blog, comment on like 3 of their blog posts. So you kind of want to just get on their radar and show up, follow them, say nice things, and maybe they'll follow you back. But even if not, when you send an email a few days later, they should recognize your name and face because they've had to go through it and approve all of these comments and likes and stuff. So they'll already kind of feel like, oh, I recognize that name. So they might open your email. There might be some positive goodwill already because they're like, oh, this person is active on my site, or they're giving me blog comments. Everybody likes more comments and more feedback and likes and shares. If you're sharing their or retweeting their stuff on social media, that's good for them. So if they see that, they're like, oh, this person's really helping me out. Then you send them an email, they already kind of recognize you. You're going to get a lot better response rate if you take the time to do some of that stuff first. So those are the first 2 ways to find reviewers for your books. But the third way that I actually use the most, I'm kind of lazy, so I don't like reaching out to reviewers directly. I have used some tools like Book Review Targeter or Book Ranger to send out lots of review emails and ARC copies, especially when I was getting started, until I built my own list. Now that I have my own list, I mostly just send ARC copies to my own list. However, it's always nice to find and connect with new readers. So the other thing I really do that I think is easier is giving out lots of free copies. So if you put your free book up either on BookFunnel or InstaFreebie, which both have features where you can join joint author promotions and have your book listed on a page with a lot of other books in the same genre, and then all those authors share the free books together, so you get a lot of visibility and traffic. If you get a lot of downloads for your free book, you can start building an email list and you can ask people to review it. Also, I'll put out a lot of perma-free books. So perma-free just means I'll put the book up for free using draft to digital, and I'll also put it on Kindle, and then I can email Amazon's customer support and say, can you please price match my book to the free version that I made perma-free? Here's a link on iBooks or Kobo, because Amazon will price match. So that just means Amazon, because you can't set a book for free on Amazon, but you can set it at 99 cents, and then they'll price match to 0. I don't actually give away a lot of free books from all of the other sites, but by making my book perma-free on Amazon, I can usually get pretty good visibility. So I actually do this with, for example, the book I'm writing now, which is Vampire Dystopia. The first 6 chapters are finished, so I published that like a year ago, and it's still in the top 20 of multiple categories, which means it's like 2,000 on the Amazon store, so it still gets, I don't know how many, but a few dozen downloads a day. Some of those people sign up on my list to get the rest of the book when it's finished. So I'm building a list on autopilot by putting up some free content. When the book is done, I can reach out to that list and say, hey, it's finished. Here's the full book. Please review it. So that's one way. Basically, instead of reaching out and trying to find reviewers for your book, I just put out the content. If you put out free books, you'll be attracting reviewers to you. You'll be attracting the right readers to you, especially if you've done your cover right, you have a good blurb, you already have some reviews. You can't even give away a free book without reviews, but once you have 10 or so and a nice cover and a decent, good enough description, you should be able to get that free book to stick. And even if you're not doing that, if you're in Kindle Unlimited, you could use your free days with some promotion and do a big free campaign and get a few thousand downloads. I would caution, if you don't have any reviews or if you have less than 10 reviews, you don't really want to use up your free days because you won't get as many downloads because your conversion rate won't be very good. So if you don't have any reviews yet and you're lazy, you don't want to reach out to other reviewers or do any work, you can just put it for free, but you might only get a couple hundred downloads, which might not do very well for you. You really want to focus on getting as many downloads as possible during your free campaign. The reason to do a free campaign is if you get 1,000 downloads on the first day, your book will go up to the top of the Amazon store and you'll get a lot of free visibility, a lot of new people, maybe a couple other thousand readers will download your book. And that's a lot of free visibility, especially if you don't have a platform already. You're not cannibalizing book sales by giving away books for free. You're not losing money by giving away books for free or devaluing literature. It's a marketing campaign technique that will ultimately result in more earnings. I've given away a lot of free books and I earn pretty good money with my books because I've given away so many free copies, because I've built a big platform, because I've given a lot of free content to my readers. I haven't had to work as hard for visibility, and now my books, when I launch new books, they sell pretty well and they stay selling because I've built up a platform. So it's kind of a trade-off. You can either work really hard to find reviewers for your books and email them directly, but that's cold traffic, or you can put up free books where readers will find them so that they can find you automatically and be put on your email list automatically, and then you can follow up. Even with an autoresponder series, you can follow up and try to get them or encourage them to review your book. So it's a little tricky, but these are steps you need to take, because if you don't have reviews for your books, you can't just, if your book isn't selling and you don't have reviews, that's kind of an irresolvable problem. It's not a problem that's going to go away. And I see a lot of books that have been out for a year or two and still have less than 10 reviews. And the author's advertising or marketing or building an author website or whatever, nothing is going to work to sell your book until you get more reviews. That's your number one step. So you really have to make the effort. If you're at all interested in being a career author or selling more books, you really have to figure out how to get book reviews. So I hope these 3 steps helped a little bit. I have a lot of other resources on getting book reviews on creativity.com, so make sure you visit me there, or subscribe to this channel if you're interested in book marketing or publishing or writing tips. Thanks, bye-bye.